Happy Christmas, everybody. Happy Christmas. I'm recording this, what is it? It's Monday. So it's the Monday after Christmas. So Christmas has been, and it has gone, and now we are heading towards the New Year's festivities. And so I'm just going to adjust my levels here. And I wanted to jump on. I missed you guys. I missed it. I banked a few before Christmas, and those came out. And I was kind of out on the farm working today, literally just digging holes in the dirt, and was thinking, you know what? The family have left. They've gone to Vancouver for a couple days, and I'm home alone. My sister is doing what she's doing, which is going through a pretty heavy-duty separation, divorce, all that, and it's a mess over there. So she can only join when she can, and I know I've said that lots. It's kind of funny. This podcast has got me and her's face on it, but it's mostly just me kind of pulling the plow at the moment. I'm hoping she comes on and joins in a bigger capacity down the road, because I just find her input and her perspective different than mine, and she has this way of stringing together concepts and kind of telling them from beginning to end, where I kind of sometimes get lost in the middle. I have partly unraveled concepts in my head, and I think she kind of sees it through to completion. So I think we complement each other, and I enjoy her being on. And so I'm just hoping that in this new year she has more time, but we will see. We'll take that as it goes. I don't have any notes. I don't have any plans. I'm just hitting record and going for it. So if anyone's here joining me for this, good on you. Thanks. It's amazing to me that you would take the time to listen. That, goodness me, there's gazillions of things you could be doing and listening to. So I'm very honored that you would spend a bit of time with me. I've been thinking lots about just this whole relationship that we have with kind of the devices, but also the windows that those devices have opened up, like Instagram and TikTok and all these different types of, and YouTube especially, it's a big one. And I think lots of people have been talking about it. It's almost like this third dimension that's been added to our life. I was thinking today as I was out there digging away, in the past, kind of transporting myself back to my childhood and thinking, if I was doing this same task back in England, I would be sharing it with the person I would potentially be working for, and maybe a friend, but that's about the sum of it. And now there's the thing where we can share our tasks, our hobbies, anything that we're doing with the whole world. And it's a really new technology, right? This thing that we've kind of grown used to. It's only been around for probably 30 years, and we're still navigating it. And it's a weird thing. I've been following this guy. I can't remember the name of his channel, but he's a young guy in his 20s, it looks like, and him and his buddy have been sailing around the world, I think, not using standard navigation tools, using like the sextant and things like that. And he did a post around Christmas time, I believe, and just he just finished a huge leg of his journey, and he said that he was feeling really hollow inside. I think he was being really honest. He's like, I feel really hollow because this big task that we were going to do is over, but also the relationship with his technology. So he's like in the middle of nowhere, a 1,000 miles from the nearest land mass at some points. And then, I've been there because I used to have a YouTube channel as well. And it's like every task that you do, you're not kind of eyes on the task and that's the only thing you're doing. You're thinking, how can this translate? Can I share this? Oh, I should grab my camera and start filming and sharing it with the world. And so and then he was just sharing how he needed to take some time away and step away from it. It's like, and I could tell that he didn't really have the words to describe what was going on. He just felt exhausted by it, but also equally grateful for it because it was probably funding some of his lifestyle. And I can relate to that. I can relate to that. Man, I feel like sometimes I'm banging on about the same old shit, like technology, and it's like, yeah, I'm on technology right now. So like, it's like I have a relationship with it, but I'm also really conscious of the dysfunction of it and how odd it is. And maybe in another 50, 100 years, it won't be odd. It will just be like putting on a pair of trousers in the morning. I wonder what it was like when television first came on and, people were like looking at the back of the box and seeing how are these people moving inside this box, but there's nobody there. And this projection and is it black magic? And, and now we've just gotten used to it. It's just like, dude, television is television. Like you don't even need to think about it. It's just, our phones and this technology is like next level. And I just find myself just, constantly just struggling to find balance in my relationship with it. And I don't know what got me on that tangent. So here I am on the technology that I'm bitching about, and grateful for it in one hand, but also struggling to find balance with it. It's a weird thing. And so yeah, let me tell you about my Christmas. Because my Christmas was pretty eventful. I think Christmases are always pretty eventful for a lot of people because it's the time when your family all come together, and we don't get to choose our family. Our family kind of chooses us. It is what it is. And if we were to have a choice about the people in like if we were to say, okay, you get to choose your family, would we pick the people that we are stuck with now? Tough to say because the love is so deep that it kind of overlooks all of the the shortcomings, right? Like if you were to say, oh, one of my daughters who might rub me the wrong way, I wouldn't trade her for anything because she's my daughter. And so it's this weird connection, but also, sometimes family can be tough to be around. I remember growing up with 3 sisters, no brothers, and we fought a lot. I had a lot of memories of a lot of tension, a lot of friction, a lot of fighting, not a lot of harmony. And now I love my sisters, and we could go on vacation together and have a great old time. But growing up, it wasn't harmonious, and it's kind of funny how you're stuck with these people to sharpen you, I guess. And so I have 2 children with my ex-wife, and they're in their 20s, and they live in Vancouver. And then I moved over here 3 years ago on the island, so it's about a 5-hour travel period. Ferry. The ferry is the big disruptor. Catching the ferry over to Vancouver Island, then driving up to our farm. My mom is in England still, and she actually spends half her time in New Zealand. So she's in New Zealand right now. My dad's not around anymore. And my other sisters are in Europe. Abigail, obviously, in Halifax, which would just as well be Europe because it's about an 8 to 10 hours of travel to get down there because Canada's so massive. But my other 2 sisters live, one in Holland, one in England. So we're all over the map. But my close family, my wife's dad and mom, both live, my mother-in-law lives just up the road, and my father-in-law lives in a place called Nelson, which is a beautiful part of British Columbia. But it's about a 7 or 8 hour drive. So anyway, mother-in-law, father-in-law, both come over, and my 2 oldest kids were going to come over from Vancouver. So the fun started with my son showed up. Boom. Awesome. My daughter overslept her alarm. And so, oh my God, Dad, I missed my ferry, blah, blah, blah. So sure enough, Dad has to dig deep. I think the older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at seeing the fights on the horizon, potential fights coming, and have the skills to be able to stick handle the situation to not let it escalate. Now, I don't, touchdown every single time. Sometimes my ego gets the better of me, my temper gets the better of me, and we end up in an escalation. So, father's role, what is it? Oh, you should learn, you should figure out your way here, you shouldn't have overslept your, it's like, nah, forget that. Just get in the car, Jobie, drive to Nanaimo, which is an hour and a half drive. So it's 3 hours out of the day, the day before Christmas Eve. But so I did that. So I drove to pick her up. We had a great conversation on the way back. So that was a 3-hour kind of disruptor, maybe 4 hours actually. And my youngest daughter, Amelia, was starting to have stomach problems. And, my wife thought, oh, it might be just a bug, because I got really sick before Christmas. I got the flu, which I get sick maybe once a year. So that hit me. And I was just kind of coming out of it, feeling a little bit better around Christmas Eve. And my daughter was starting to have all the stomach problems, and it wasn't going away. And I just threw out a wild card and said, maybe it's her appendix. Tara's like, no, it wouldn't be that. Anyway, 2 days go by, she still got the stomach cramps. So when I left to go to pick my daughter up, my wife went to the hospital and sat in emergency for 8 hours, 9 hours, waiting. Finally got a, what is it when you're having a baby, that kind of like, when they can see inside your tummy? Can't remember the name of it now. It wasn't a CAT scan. It was like a sonar, blah, 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 blah. Sure enough, she has an inflated or whatever appendix. Gotta have it out. So all of a sudden, Amelia's going into surgery day before Christmas Eve. I had to come home from dropping my daughter off, pack a bag, drive to the hospital, drop off some sleeping stuff. Amelia had her appendix out at like midnight, spent the night in hospital. Comes home the next day, feeling pretty out of it, and stitches on her tummy. While this is happening, my youngest son, Gabriel, is starting to complain about stomachache. And so actually he came to hospital at the same time when Amelia was in hospital, and I'm getting jumbled up. The days are getting jumbled up here, but it was really close to Christmas. And the doctor looks at him and says, look, in kind of like, I think what he thought is, oh, the son's feeling left out, the brother's feeling left out. He wants to get his appendix out too, because it's like a special thing. And he kind of mocked it a little bit and didn't really take him seriously. And so ended up getting the test done. And sure enough, his appendix is also enlarged and needs to be removed. Everyone in the hospital was like, this is like, they've never seen anything like it. Like, this has never happens. This is so weird. This is like, and I think a bit of research shows that you can get it virally, like it can be a bit of a virus thing, but very, very rare. And so both Amelia and Gabriel, 1 day apart, had their appendix removed. Gabe on Christmas Eve. So, yeah, I mean, the big push was like, hey, let's, we just want the kids home for Christmas, and that's all we wanted. So like, let's get this thing out, get it done, dusted, get them home. And so it was super hectic. Had to wrap presents Christmas Eve into the night. Everyone was tired and worn out. And but we made it. We made it to Christmas. We had a traditional good, Christmas around the tree, stockings and all of that. And everyone did really well. Had lots of gifts. My son got pretty sauced up in the morning. Lots of eggnog and rum. And it was a lot. It was a lot of noise. Like your family there's a lot of noise going on, and our family are quite quiet, I guess. And my extended family, like my two older kids, have a different mom, so they're different breed. And my oldest daughter has really softened. Me and her and I used to really clash, and she's really softened, and she's really gotten into the kind of hippie, journaling and feelings, and it was just great. So fantastic. My son and I don't want to uncover him or say something that would expose him, but, it's no secret that me and him are like oil and water. I love him deeply, and I know he loves me deeply too, but he knows how to push my buttons like nobody else. the funny thing is he can make me laugh better, more than anybody else. Like he's a great imitator. So he'll imitate me and I see the funny side of it, because growing up in England, we grow up learning to laugh at ourselves. I find Canadians take themselves a bit too seriously. Sorry if you're a Canadian, but my roots are English, and I was there until I was 21, and part of our culture is learning to make fun of ourselves and laugh at ourselves, And so Raven jabs at me all the time, and sometimes it just makes me like roar with laughter. It's very rare, which is a bit sad. My youngest son, I think he saw me laughing one time. He's like, "Dad, I've never seen you laugh like that," which really kind of was a bit of a gut punch to me, because I was like, oh, that sucks. I guess I don't laugh enough. But in the same breath, my oldest son can also push my buttons. And we got through it. We got through Christmas unscathed without any big blow-ups. But it took a lot of effort on my part to not allow myself to get drawn into to be baited in. And it's not easy, and it's tiring a little bit, but I'm super glad that it wasn't a big blow up, and those have happened in the past. And it sucks because, it just takes it out of you if you're a dude, not saying that girls don't lose their temper, but I think guys do a little easier. And a little tangent here. I was listening to a New Zealand guy that talks about parenting a lot online, and he was talking about anger being like a wolf, and he was saying, you need to teach fathers need to teach your sons how to, and I don't know this fully through, this is what my sister would do. She would see this through to the end. I kind of got some little like crumbs of the idea, and because I got an ADD mind, I just kind of jump off the train. I should have listened to it thoroughly and really kind of absorbed it. But I think long and short of it is like, fathers, teach your sons that anger is like a wolf that will always be there in your life. And you need to learn to keep that anger on a leash, and not let that wolf be out of control. It means you can't go out in public. There's a lot of things you can't do if that wolf gets out of control. And eventually, if you can control it well enough, you'll be able to unhook the leash and the collar, and that wolf will just walk beside you. Because anger, there is a place for it. There is a place for anger if there's if something unjust is happening. That same testosterone that courses through your veins when you feel angry is there for a purpose. If there's a bear coming at you, or something coming to threaten your family, but if you don't, he said, if you don't teach your sons how to keep that anger under control, it will turn up and it'll make things very, very ugly for you as you get older, because it will mean, you'll be an abusive husband to your wife and so on and so forth. So anyway, that anger, I've had it flare up. It's been a thing for me and for my son too. When it does flare up, I don't know if it's cortisol or adrenaline. It's like this awful feeling after you've lost your temper. Where it's like this letdown. There's like this, like when you lose your temper, well, if you lost your temper, you'll know what it's like. But when you reach this point where it's unstoppable, the temper is coming out. You haven't managed to stop it early enough, and now it's the wolf is off the leash and it's going. And that analogy really helps me, actually. I really want to think more on that. But once it's off the leash and it's running, it's too late. And that burst of anger is almost like this release that you have to, it's too late to turn around. But afterwards, oh my God, it feels so bad. I think it's like shame coupled with the actual physiological thing that's going on inside when you've lost your temper. There's this like kind of like depletion inside of you that happens because maybe this big rush of adrenaline has gone through your veins. And then there's the shame of just feeling so disappointed in yourself that you couldn't control yourself. That was a bit of a tangent. But all that to say is me and my son didn't have any blow-ups, and we skated through. And man, I love him so much, and I love my children so much. I wouldn't replace them for anybody. I would do anything for them. But, you know, in the same breath, would I want to go on vacation with all of my children? Tough to say. My immediate reaction would be no, because it's so, if you're the mature person, like, and you see all of this stuff going on, you're kind of like the master. You have to kind of keep all the balls in there, keep everyone happy. Maybe it's just because I'm a people pleaser. Maybe I should just let things blow up and just stand back and watch the fireworks. But I'm wanting to kind of like keep the peace, keep everyone happy. And also we're in a broken home. So they're not Tara's kids. They're her stepkids. So there's not that like undying love that she has for her immediate children. Where you sometimes overlook certain things and have a bit more empathy to certain things. So, yeah, it's tiring. I don't think I would want to go on vacation yet, and until there's been maybe some general maturity across the board where everyone can just be adults and kind of temper things a little bit. I hope I didn't say anything out of line there or make anyone feel uncomfortable. If my kids are listening, I'm sorry if I did that. Just trying to be honest. So yeah, that was my Christmas. What did I get? I got a proper barista machine. I didn't expect that. And the funny thing is when you're the breadwinner, which I am, my wife doesn't work. She does work. She takes care of the family and feeds us and does a lot on the farm and takes care of our Airbnb and does all the turnovers. Every time I open a big gift, there's this little pause because I'm like, oh, I paid for this. I remember one year we had a tough year in business, and under the tree was a pineapple. In the pineapple was a note, and the note says, we're going to Hawaii. And I was like, half of me was super excited and half of me was like, shit, I don't think we can afford that. So anyway, I opened this big thing and had a little thought, but Tara's immediately, I got it on sale. It was half price and blah, blah, blah. And it's been a lot of fun. I don't have many vices in my life. I don't smoke. I don't drink, barely at all. Barely do any drugs like marijuana once in a blue moon. Probably because I have control issues and I have a hard time letting go. So the only real like thing that I do, I do lots of things for pleasure. I do mountain bike and go to the gym and whatnot, but coffee is one thing I look forward to. And I only have 1 to 2 coffees a day. So I'm not like a crazy coffee drinker because it doesn't make me feel good when I have more than that. But so I used to do pour over coffee, which I talked to one of my customers in Vancouver. He had like 2 or 3 coffee machines, all of this paraphernalia. And I was like, oh man, he was into it, like weighed his coffee out every morning and did the whole bit. And I said, so in your opinion, what's the best coffee? And he said pour over. I was like, really? Which seems like, it takes nothing but a little cone coffee things in there, you ground coffee, and you just pour water over it. There's no machinery involved. And he said, that's the best coffee, which is like a drip coffee, I guess. So that's what I've done for years now. And it's nice to change it up. So now I'm having fun trying to figure out this machine. I can make a cappuccino. We'll see how that milk does with me. I've not been the greatest with milk. Make an Americano. I haven't yet done an espresso because I haven't. But when I was in Italy a couple years back, I kind of was like, when in Rome, and I literally was in Rome, do what the Romans do, which is espresso. And I actually quite enjoyed having a little shot. You know, you kind of walking along and pop into a coffee shop and have a little shot and just carry on. So yeah, I haven't done espresso, but I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with the machine. You got to get, so much involved in it. They say you need to get coffee beans that are very recently been roasted and then use them within 10 days of being roasted. So get small bags of coffee. You got to look at the date. That's a big deal. the amount you grind the coffee is another really big deal. That's really important. And weighing your coffee beans is also another really important factor to making the perfect coffee. Yeah, you can really go down the rabbit hole, which is funny. But I kind of enjoy it and it's fun. So I'm grateful for that. And yeah, that was Christmas. And now we're heading into New Year's. And I thought it would be good to just chat about New Year's. You know, it's I was at the gym today, and I was listening to Chris Williamson, which I think might know if you've listened to a few of these podcasts, that I quite enjoy his stuff. I really hop around different podcasts, but he was being interviewed by the dude from Diary of a CEO, that podcast, and he was just talking about, you know, New Year's resolutions and all this kind of jazz. Chris and his crew, people listen to those kind of optimization hack, you know, health hacks and life hack type of podcasts, are generally the type of personality where you're doing a lot anyway in life. And I would definitely be in that category where I'm already, you know, have done in the past. I need to get back into it. But, you know, my morning used to look like, you know, wake up in the morning, cold plunge, have your bulletproof coffee, go to the gym, come home, work my butt off on the farm. I'm running a business too in Vancouver, just cramming and mountain biking and being with the family and all of that. And so, you know, I'm of that breed where you can easily get caught up in just doing way too much. And what you actually need is the opposite. What you actually need is to take some things off the table and to put more space in your life and maybe double down on a few things instead of trying to add more to your task list. And so, yeah, navigating that is an interesting one when you're a personality like myself. But yeah, going into the new year, it's a good time to pause. It's a good time to think about things you'd like to change in your life. You know, Chris said one thing that I've heard him say before, and it's worth saying again. It's very simple but powerful. If you were to watch a movie of your life, what would you be screaming at the television? What is it you'd be screaming? You know, when you watch a movie and you're like, "Don't open the door! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't get in the plane with that person! Don't!" You know, you're trying to direct the person from catastrophe as if they can hear you through the television. So if you were watching a TV movie of your life, of my life, if I was watching a movie of my life, what is that thing that I would be screaming at the television? And if you're anything like how I felt when I heard that, it doesn't take more than a couple of seconds to know exactly what you'd be screaming at the television. And it's very arresting. Arresting, is that a word? It arrests you. It's like, whew, you know. The other analogy I like to, and I've heard someone use, and I think this is a good one to think about, is to all of the different parts of your existence, like of your life. I'm not very good at explaining this, but if you picture a boardroom table, and you probably have heard this before, and you've got your finance guy, you've got your, you know, your business person, you've got your husband, so that, you know, your father, your health, your friends, friendships, different things like that. And each personality is sitting around this boardroom table, and you give everyone a chance to say how they're doing. When I did that just the other day for the first time in a long time, I knew very quickly which ones were going to be speaking up about a depletion in their realm. I really don't have the right words, but you know, if I had the farmer around the table, the do guy, he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm killing it, man. I'm feeling great. I'm full. I'm doing it." You know, health, yeah, pretty good. You know, going to the gym, not too bad, pretty good. You can maybe be a bit more focused, but yeah, that's pretty good. Father, yeah, pretty good. You can always do better. Maybe try not to have your phone on you when the kids are around more. Things like that. Chips, need to work on that a bit more. This is what I'm feeling. For me, I'm just being completely honest with you. I'm maybe a touch vulnerable. maybe you could spend some more time investing in your friends. I know that makes you feel, feel vulnerable, but so the guy that needs friendships is like, yeah, I'm feeling a little empty. You need to put some more energy into this. My business in Vancouver. Yeah, you need to keep your eye on the ball there, because I have a tendency to, because I've been doing it for so long, to take my eye off the ball, and it's an important thing in my life. And then it came to my role as a husband, as a partner, and it's coupled with what I would be screaming at the television. When you see these romantic comedies or these romantic movies, and the guy is going to have an affair, and I'm not saying I'm having an affair, just take it off the bat, and you're like, no, don't do that. That there's gold in his original relationship, and yeah, if I'm really honest, I'm feeling like I'm sucking at that right now. It's that guy is like hand way up in the air saying, you got to put some more energy into this. And I've been feeling that way for quite a long time. And if you're a father and you've got children, you're a husband, you'll relate a little bit. And I'm not trying to make excuses for myself, but you'll understand that as soon as you have children, more than one, life changes. Like I got a friend of mine who's just had a brand new baby, and this is a really cool thing that happened in the Valley here. We've got lots of men's groups, and people like to get together and have what they call circle time, which is like where you share. And there's a group here in the Valley called Rad Dads. It's a bit of an interesting name, but it's basically a bunch of dads that get together, and sometimes they rent the local sauna and go sauna. But usually a part of getting together is always like just a time to share. And one of the things that you do in share is you try to take ownership for your shit. You try not to project your stuff, and they really encourage you to sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera here. Jobie, stay on track. They really try and teach people to take ownership for your shit, and deal with it. But it's a time of just being open and honest, and no judgment. So my buddy was having this new baby, and they said, well, we're going to have a gathering. We're going to call him forth as a father. And so it was on a farm, my buddy's farm down the road, and we went down there, and there was about 15 to 20 men, and we sat around a fire, and then together we decided we went to retrieve him from his home, and he lives on the farm down in the woods. So we walked down through the woods, and we sang this song, which is like an ancient canoe song, I think, from the First Nations. Very simple. And we were just calling him out of his house, and he came downstairs, and we watched him, and he kissed his wife goodbye, and he got his boots on, and we walked him back up to the fire, and we had this circle time where we just were just kind of blessing him as a new father, and just kind of like excited with him about this new adventure. And we had some deer that were shot that week, and so we had some fresh deer meat, which is pretty cool. But there was a lot of dads there, and it was hard to hold back. There's so many positives when you have a child. Like when you have a child, there's so many positives, but there are also a lot of heavy lessons that you learn in parenting. And it was hard to kind of not puke on him. Say, look, buddy, you're not going to get any sleep when this baby comes. Kiss that goodbye. Your own time is not your own time anymore. And it is a kind of crucible. Like this fire, you get crushed. And then through that crushing, gold comes, right? Like that's how it works. Character is built through hard times. And, sometimes, with kids, it's like there's a lot of hard times. There's like sleepless nights, a lot of sickness sometimes, a lot of testing. Your time is not your own anymore. That baby does not give two monkeys about whether you're in the middle of a meditation or whether you're trying to get to bed on time. It will cry when it wants to cry. And there's a breaking that happens in that. If you're a parent, you'll know this. And if you were to ask any parent, would you take it all back. There's no way in hell I would trade anything for this. You know, the love you have for a child is unmatched. And you only know that when you have a child that comes into the earth, and you're like, I would walk in front of a bullet for this baby without even thinking twice, you know. Deep, deep love. But you'd be lying to yourself if you said, you know, it's not all roses. And I feel like when it comes to relationships, there's a massive test that comes, and I can only speak for myself. But I have spoke to other fathers about this, and I've gotten the nod. Yeah, you know. And there's one thing that happens that I saw happen was, you know, your wife loves you, your partner loves you deeply, but when that baby comes, there is a deeper level of love that she's not yet tapped into. And when that baby comes out, I think that it happens when it's growing inside. I can't speak for my wife, but I know from what I see, it's growing inside you. It's bonkers. And there's this connection that's starting to happen, and it's deeper than the connection that she might have with you if you're a man. And when it comes out, it's like the love, the gaga-ness you see in their face for this child is a deeper love. And so there is a thing that I felt like I lost my partner a little bit. You know, I lost her to this new love, this child. And back then I didn't have any guys who understood that, so I was kind of suffering in silence a little bit. You know, I felt like this oh, I guess I'm not the apple of her eye anymore. This baby is the apple of her eye. And I'm not saying that my partner didn't love me or do nice things, or, you know, but there was something that changed. And then we had a second child, and you add a second child into it, plus my other children, her stepkids that were at our house a lot too. It's a lot. And you're trying to keep a relationship on the rails through that. If you don't have a nanny, it's tough. And I think year over year, it doesn't go away quickly, because then the kids get into dance and sports, and, you know, Tara's got to take her to dance, and I've got to take my kid to mountain biking, and, you know, you're doing a lot of this, but you're not doing a whole lot together. I mean, we are together a lot on the farm. And so, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, I feel like all of that has taken a toll on the relationship. And a better man than me would probably have said, we have to have date night every Tuesday. Doesn't matter what happens. And I know that, you know, there's couples that will do that. And I'm sure there's people listening to this right now that will say, hey man, you got to make the time. You got to put the time in. And I get that. And I guess if I'm being honest, I'd say, I failed in that regard. You know, sometimes I failed to put a stake in the ground and say, we're going on a date once a week, no matter what, hell or high water. And I think for me, what stops me from doing that is just a lack of courage. I consider myself a very courageous man. Like, I do courageous things. I step out, I do risky things. But when it comes to relationship, I think I'm really nervous to be let down, really nervous to expose myself, you know, be vulnerable. And it's so crazy how hard that is. I don't understand it. I know if you're a psychologist and you're listening to this, you probably have all the answers. And I know the answers. I've heard the answers. But when it comes to the rubber hitting the road, it's like I feel tongue-tied. You know, it's, yeah. And so I feel like there's this call to probably rediscover my relationship again. And that's going to take some time and effort. And I feel like, you know, you can have two types of relationships. You can have a relationship that when it's going bad, it's like a sailboat heading straight for the rocks at full tilt. And you're like, everyone can see it. Yeah, this is disaster up on the rocks. And then you've got the other type of relationship that just slowly drifts in. gives back out a bit, and then drifts in towards it. And I feel like my relationship is a little bit like that, without revealing too much. It's like you can coexist with each other. You can kind of mosey on and just go through the motions of just doing life, doing parenting. But is it really fruitful? Is it really all it could be? Yeah, I don't know. So maybe that helps someone out there. Maybe someone else is feeling that too. I think that if I was watching a movie of myself, I'd be like seeing that clear as day, like, dude, come on, man. Come on. Do something romantic. Ask her on a date, dude, and, I think that, it's another thing that Chris said. He said, what would the 85-year-old you be regretting right now, looking back? And it's like, shit, that's one thing you do not want to have. I do not want to have, is to have regrets. And if I have the ability to make my relationship a 10, then why am I not doing that? Is it just fear of being hurt? Fear of hurting someone else? Fear of speaking the truth? It probably is just fear. It's just fear of it can't kill me. It's like, what am I so afraid of? I'm asking myself that question. And maybe you feel the same way. Like, it's like, we have one kick at the can to be a parent, to be a really good dad, a really good, parent to your children. You have one kick at the can to be a really good husband and have a really flourishing relationship. I mean, isn't it amazing when you go out on a date and or you go to onto the beach and you see an older couple holding hands walking down the beach, and you think, yeah, they're the last ones laughing. Like, they figured it out. Not to say that they haven't had hard times, and I'm grateful, when Tara and I do go out, we went to a wedding in Italy 2 years ago, and we got stranded there because the flights were canceled and blah, blah, blah. And we had a great time. We had a blast. We weren't fighting. So there is that there. It's just this familiarity, this malaise that can come over a relationship when you're just raising a family. And I think that if you're a couple that haven't got kids, then you don't really get this side of things, because you can at any time make time for your relationship, because that's all you have. But when you put kids in the middle of the mix, they literally interrupt every conversation you have. They walk into your bedroom when you're in the middle of the conversation or whatever. They don't have a filter, They need help when they need help, and they need it now. And so it's you have to fight hard for that time, and sometimes you can just coexist like roommates in the same house. And so yeah, if I'm moving into a new year and I have a New Year's resolution, I would think that would be top of the pile, to just try and figure that out, that Rubik's Cube out, and man up. Like, I feel like I need to, I've got courage in so many areas, but there's this like call to man up and take charge of the relationship. Don't just let her make the decisions, or let life just kind of happen. And think, I feel like I need to balls up and do the hard thing. When I was running a business, I am running a business, but I forget where I heard this, but this guy said, when he would get together with his employees, he'd say, "What's the hard thing the first thing he would say is what's the hard thing you're not saying, or I'm not saying, and get that out of the way first, instead of tiptoeing around the hard thing." So yeah, moving into the new year, New Year's resolutions. I think that if you're, where do I want to go now? That was a lot. That was a lot of honesty right there. A bit of raw heart on my sleeve, stuff. And yeah, maybe it helps somebody. I don't know. I think for me, yeah, I need to take, time to enjoy the roses. That is a lifelong project for me, I feel. For my kind of personality, I'm a destination type of dude, and I probably talked about that a lot. I'm a new project, build a project. but have to fight hard to stop and pause and take a moment just to drink in the now. I'm grateful that I've learned. I have so many people that I can learn from, so many great resources online, and I've learned through meditation how to step out of my mind. That's a skill. I would say that if you want to learn a superpower, that is a superpower that that you should learn. I was listening to the Diary of a CEO as he was talking to Chris Williamson. And he's like, I don't meditate, but I meditate. I feel like I meditate in the shower because I have a half-hour shower and I just think all the time in there. And I was kind of saying like, hey, hang on a second, but Chris didn't pick up what he was putting down. But I'm like, that's not meditation, because the whole thing of meditation is to step outside of your mind and stop thinking. So just being alone with your thoughts and thinking a lot is not meditation. You're still optimizing that time. You're being creative in the shower. The art of meditation is stepping away from your busy mind, even if it's for a brief moment. Realizing that you are not your thoughts is a superpower. Realizing that the chaos that goes on up here does not define who you are. There is an option to step out of that. And I got heavily into meditation a while ago. Sometimes I did 3-hour meditations, which was pretty intense. But I need to get back into that more. I was even with this new coffee machine, I was thinking to myself, maybe I should, because I get up before anyone else generally, and make my coffee, sit there and just stare outside and drink my coffee. And that will be my meditation. But this thing always seems to just be somewhere close. And, I should email that thing, text that thing, and do that thing. So it's a challenge to get this thing out of the way. Yeah, one little bit of advice I would say when it comes to this, and I've started to do this again, is to, and this is a criticism as well, if that's a thing, criticism, he said it's to, and I've heard it from multiple different sources, but don't have this near you at nighttime. And there's obviously medically a good reason not to. It's transmitting signals and not great. But I've actually been putting this out of the room and finding I've had better sleeps at night. And I don't know what that is. I think it's probably something to do with the signal. Even though it's on airplane, it's still searching for something. It's still doing something. That thing is still working. Anyway, little tangent there, but try doing that. Put it away from you. Put it down in the kitchen. Put it somewhere else. And then, there's this interesting separation anxiety that happens when you step away from that thing, because if you're anything like me, you want to lie in bed for a few seconds and just scroll, and it's a way of checking out. And you can not do that. It's possible. I think it's good to have some boundaries there. So yeah, optimization, need to do a bit less of that, I think, for me. Need to just smell the roses, enjoy my family. I think something I said a few podcasts back was like, if you want to hack your mind into slowing time down, have more experiences. And I'll say that again, moving into the new year, try and say yes, like that movie, Yes Man, Jim Carrey. Say yes to more things that are outside of the box of what you would normally do. Hey, we're having a party tonight. You want to come? Yes. A friend of mine just texted Tara and I, and said, hey, we're going up to the ski hill camping in our trailers for New Year's. Want to come? I'm like, oh man, I got to put all the sleeping stuff in the trailer. I got to make sure the heat works. What are we going to do about water? Because it's cold up there. But I hear this little voice saying, just do it, because you won't regret it. You're making a memory, which will make time feel like it's moving slower. Yeah. All right, guys. I prattled on. I feel like I'm coming to a bit of a dead end in my thoughts, because I haven't written anything down. It's just stream of consciousness. So yeah, I hope everyone had a good Christmas. I hope I wasn't too heavy with what I was talking about. I hope that, the New Year's thing can be a good experience, so we can make some good and realistic changes moving into 2026. I'm going to try and continue on getting one podcast out a week. That's my goal, and I've stuck by it. It's been a lot of effort and work. yeah, spread the good word. You know, if you could give me one gift, it would be to hit subscribe. If you could give me a second gift, it would be to share this with some friends and leave a comment. Hey, Jobie, you talk too much. You ramble. Cool. All right, guys. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2026.